guys, you're listening to the Unlucky Frog Gaming Podcast. Usual hosts here, Josh Hartley and Ben Porter. Charlotte is not joining us. She's looking after a noisy tortoise. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah. SEO Trot.
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. He won't settle down.
Yeah.
So
he's been removed from the studio.
Yes.
Like some drunk rock star.
So he's been taken outside to sober up.
Yeah. Otherwise, Charlotte definitely would have been on this episode, because I suppose this is like our part 2 of AireCon.
Yeah.
We recorded AireCon. Josh,
the Saturday night we recorded.
I was exceptionally tired.
Yeah.
And I didn't realise how much it came across on the recording until I listened back to it.
Exceptionally tired. And we were in our Airbnb as well, weren't we? So.
No, the Airbnb was lovely.
It was.
Lots of pictures of sheep and chickens. So if
you actually said at the time lots of pictures of cocks.
Yeah, I mean there could be chickens there.
But that was what you said.
You infer into that whatever you want, man. I mean that's just...
No, it was you that said it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean they're cockerels.
Yeah.
Roosters.
Disgusting boy.
So, I suppose this episode is a kind of what we did on Sunday at AireCon. And we got up to quite a bit. I mean, we got up pretty bright and early.
Yep.
We had a good fried breakfast as well.
Yes.
Yes.
Made by yours truly.
Yes, the Unlucky Frog chef.
Yeah.
As well as host.
Yep.
And then made our way to the convention and played quite a lot of games. So where do we begin?
Well, I think you played a game called Football Rivals, didn't you?
I really liked Football Rivals.
Yeah.
I mean, I always have a little bit of a bias for any game that isn't themed around science fiction or fantasy. Not because I don't like those genres, I love those genres, but at the same time, it's just really nice when something isn't themed around that, because there's a lot of it in what we do. So in Football Rivals, it's a 2-player card game, and quite simply, you have your team of 11 players. Each player has 2 cards in your deck, and you'll have 4 phases of a turn. The passing, dribbling, shooting, scoring.
You don't look.
I'm not very confident on that.
But there's 4 phases.
There was 4 phases. So the attacking player will select out of his hand how many players he wants to put down and where in which phases. And then the defending player will do that. This is all face down, so you don't know what's going to happen. And then you start at the beginning with the dice at 6. And that's what the attacker has to roll to score a goal. And then you go through each phase, and if the attacker wins, they drop the number on the dice, depending on how much they won by. And if the defender wins, they increase the number. So attacker wins, increases their odds of rolling what they need to roll. Defender wins, decreases the odds of it. And it's basically a top trumps sort of thing. Each player has a stat for how good they are in each phase, and whether they're attacking or defending in that phase. So as you can imagine, the goalkeepers are very good in the scoring phase if they're defending, but maybe not so great at like passing or dribbling. And likewise, strikers are really good at in the shooting phase if they're attacking, but maybe not so great in other areas. So you've got this little balancing act, and you might draw a hand that's very defensive, but you don't have an awful lot of attacking power there, or vice versa. And you're sort of trying to mitigate. You're trying to mitigate what against any weaknesses that you've got in your hand, and try and balance everything out so that you increase your odds of scoring or preventing the goal.
So, but this is one of the things that, because a lot of people say that in games that involve luck, random number generators, whatever you want to call them, that there's an argument that there's no skill within that.
Nah, that's rubbish.
Yeah, it's complete rubbish, because there is a skill in being able to respond effectively to things beyond your control.
And the creators of the game, and they were acknowledging that the reason why a 6 will always score, and a 6 sort of represents that screaming goal out of nowhere, which you get in real football, and likewise, you're always going to miss on a 1. Because you get that occasion in football where there's an open goal and the striker fluffs it and hits it over the crossbar. So I really liked that. It was such a quick game to pick up. I always like a game where I feel like I could introduce this to someone who doesn't play tabletop games, and they would probably enjoy it.
Well, the thing I said to the guys, because I watched you playing it, although I wouldn't buy it for myself, as I watched the game, I thought, actually, I could play that with my dad.
Yeah, right.
And he would like it because of the football thing.
Yeah.
I could play it with my uncle.
Yeah. The art style was really spot on as well. They went for pixel art. So, and their rationale for it is when they were younger, they loved games like Pro Evolution Soccer, the old FIFA games, Sensible Soccer, that sort of stuff. So it evokes like that 90s era of football video games. But at
the same time, that art style gives the game a universal appeal.
Yeah.
Because if they just put footballers' faces on, or if they just used like stock photographs or whatever, it would make the cards look like panini stickers.
Yeah. And
a lot of people that are gamers would just look at it and go, nah,
not for me. So we were talking to them, and they're going to be at UK Games Expo later this year. Hopefully we might get them on the podcast at some point. I'd love to have them on and have a chat with them. And do you know what the best thing was? They were Burnley fans.
Well, they designed a very good game.
They were Burnley fans, Ben.
Okay.
They were Burnley fans.
All right.
I'm a Burnley fan. If you didn't pick up on that,
yeah,
I think I got that. I got that message home. That was probably my favourite game that I tried all weekend.
But you didn't play City of Kings.
I did not play City of Kings. You have been. I'm eager to try that though.
Yes.
And we'll be looking out a copy of that soon. But so after I was having a go with Football Rivals, we played another game, didn't we?
Merchants of Medius.
Yes. This was designed by
Pike Games.
Yep.
I believe it's called.
And basically the gist of it was you've got a map. You're all playing merchants, and you're on trade missions. Buying up resources and for cheap, and trying to sell them when they're at their most expensive. It's a work in progress.
Yeah,
they've been saying that it's been in work in progress for a couple of years now. Mostly down to one of them having a child as well.
Yeah, because I think he actually said that he wasn't sure if he would make UK Games Expo this year, just because it's maybe a bit much for him, because I think he's based in Durham. So Harrogate's not too much of a stretch for him, but Birmingham, it possibly is. But this is the interesting thing about the demo zone in AireCon, is that you can play games like Wreck and Ruin, which is on Kickstarter right now, is pretty much completely finished.
Yep.
But then you can also play games like Merchants of Medius, which still very much feels like a prototype, but it still feels like it's got a bit to go.
Yeah, but it was at the core of it was a fun game. I have a natural sort of affinity for any sort of trading or resource management games, so I loved it from the get-go.
I actually found it quite frustrating because, and I'll precursor this by saying that in fairness to the chap from Pike Games, he does have some ideas for things that he wants to tweak. But essentially what happened was I felt at one point in the game that I was shoehorned into a situation that I couldn't really get out of.
Yeah. And he was describing how another player in a previous game found themselves in a sort of similar situation, right?
And I think you can argue that that's maybe down to poor judgment of the player. But and that's maybe true to an extent, but it actually felt like it was affecting the momentum of the game.
Yeah.
And it's a core rule of game design is that you need to incentivize certain behaviours in a game or people won't just do them.
Yeah.
So what happened was I had a quest where I had to take 18 wood to a specific town on the map. And I got to that town, but I didn't have all the wood that I needed. And I said, well, I don't want to move away from this town. I'm going to wait here until the wood is cheap enough for me to buy it, to drop it off.
Yeah.
So it felt as if there were some issues with the momentum of the game through that.
And to their credit, though we tried tried tweaking rules on the spot to see if that would work as well. Both of them furiously writing notes down.
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
Is which is what you do when you're playtesting a game, right? Yeah. You are going to need to make tweaks to it.
It's one of the interesting things that Kat from I Play Red said on her AireCon podcast was that designers actually want players to fail at their game. But
it's true
because they need to see how they can resolve a losing game properly.
Yeah,
and you need to iron out all of these things because the fact of the matter is that in most games there's only going to be one winner, but the game has to come to some resolution for everyone. And if your only focus is on resolving the end of the game for the winner, then 3 out of 4 or 5 out of 4 or whatever of those players are going to have an incomplete experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So you need to try and... It's such a delicate balancing act, isn't it? Not one that I could ever accomplish. But this is why I'm behind a microphone rather than designing a game myself.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed it, and the funniest moment of the entire game... so the mechanic is you roll to move from city to city.
I just remembered what this was. Yeah.
So I was in a city and Ben was in the same city, right? And I basically bought a load of resources because my mission was, and I think I had to drop off like a load of clay in the next town along, right? And you've got to roll. But you've also, each space you move, you need to consume food.
Yeah.
Right. So I bought just enough food to get me to the next city. Right? So I roll the dice. It's a 1. All right, no big deal. I just wait, and then I can move on. Move 1 space, draw the adventure card. Bad storm. Move back 1 space. Move back to the city. And I don't have enough food. So I turn to Ben. Ben, I see that you are in possession of some food that I require. Could I perhaps purchase something off you?
I pictured you just in rags by the side of the road. Look, please, sir.
With a cart full of clay. I will give you clay. I'll give you clay for an apple.
We were saying that you just imagine that he picks out the wormiest apple from artists.
There you go.
Hey, son.
So that was the standout moment for me.
Yeah.
But it was a really fun game, and we haven't even talked about the sort of the presentation of the prototype board as well. They actually made it out of wood.
Yeah,
like, it was incredible. So they put an awful lot of effort into it, and I think as the playtesting process continues for them, that game's going to turn out really well. So it'll be interesting to catch up with them at a later convention, no doubt, and see how they've got on with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what else did we have a look at on the Sunday?
I think, as far as I can remember, we looked at most of the things that we wanted to by that point. We did catch up with Tom from Themeborn Games.
Yes.
And we are going to be having a look at Escape the Dark Castle at some point.
His table was mobbed all weekend.
We just couldn't
he did not catch a break.
Yeah. Which is a it's a good sign.
Yes, a lot of buzz about that game, so we're looking forward to trying it. Apparently, it has the feel of sort of 1980s fantasy adventure games, so I'm looking forward to giving that a go.
And speaking of which,
oh yes,
I purchased 4 fighting fantasy books.
Woo!
From AireCon Games.
Yeah.
From Graham.
So have you finished them yet?
I've finished the first one.
When you say finished, did it finish you? That's a yes.
My third character.
Your third character.
Simon the slightly less anemic managed to get through the tower, but things did not transpire as he had hoped.
What happened? Spoiler alert.
Yep. So
for a book originally published in the 1980s, but spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler for like a 30-year-old book. Simon got to the Warlock. Mm-hmm. The Warlock of Firetop Mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah. The eponymous Warlock.
Mm-hmm.
The first character I had got to the Warlock, and the Warlock killed him. But Simon was a bit luckier.
Yeah.
He spotted the fact that the Warlock had a deck of cards on his table, and he set fire to them, and the Warlock started to shrink.
Ah!
And his power was diminished, so he beat the crap out of the Warlock. Got into the vault with the treasure.
Yeah.
Went to open the chest, and only had 2 of the 3 keys that he needed.
Oh, you're joking.
And it actually said that you sit there and cry as you realise that you're going to have to go through everything again. And in one hand I was like, wow, that is brutal. But on the other...
Hold on. The book actually tells you sit there and cry.
No, it actually says you sit there and weep.
And weep.
So just imagine Simon like... He's braved all these horrors and doesn't have all the keys that he needed.
Brutal!
Yeah. So I actually like that's how Simon's tale concluded, is him just a sobbing mess lying by the corpse of the Warlock, clutching the 2 keys.
Why?
So
brilliant.
Yeah. They did not pull any punches in the 80s.
No, evidently not. And you've got 3 more to go through, so enjoy that.
Yeah, I will. Do you know, I just remembered, see when we were on the train on the way back?
Yeah.
I got stuck right into the Warlock of Firetop Mountain. I'm on the train, and there's a little baby was looking at the book.
Front cover,
yeah, because it's really brightly coloured. It's there's really nice artwork.
They've updated all the art, by the way, which I think is a good thing. I do really like the original 80s.
Yeah, but it's because they're really pushing putting them into schools so kids will buy them. So they do need to update the art in that respect. And I will say I liked the gold leaf at first, but now I'm not so sure because a lot of it's rubbing off.
Oh, right.
So
that's a shame.
Anyway, so this little baby's staring at the book. And she's there with her mum and dad, and everyone's like, oh, sort of cooing over the little baby. And then her dad chimes in, and he goes, she's looking at that cover and thinking, that's him, and points to me, as if I look like the Warlock of Firetop Mountain.
Maybe to a baby you do.
Apparently to an idiot I do as well. So yeah, I was a bit offended by that.
I thought you held your composure quite well.
I thought I'm just ignoring that.
Yeah.
But I don't know why that guy thought that
felt compelled.
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing to think that; it's quite another
to actually say it.
Yeah. And do you know what made it worse is, like, we were joking earlier about the fact that the Warlock looks like the kind of guy, you know, like he's got, you know, like pentagram rings on every finger, you know, sits in the corner at parties with a massive spliff.
I think the exact phrase you used was edgelord.
Yeah. Yeah, he epitomises that.
And this guy compared you to how he looked.
Yeah, so I think, like, to that guy...
You're an edgelord.
Yeah. So...
Ben, you don't look like the cover.
Thank you.
Is that what you wanted me to say?
Yeah. I needed to hear that.
You don't. So that was your purchase of the weekend. I purchased a game that I've played quite a few times before and loved, Galaxy Truckers. And we had a very quick session of it on the train, obviously, with a very limited space.
Yeah, with a little teaser.
Yeah, I really like it. I know I like it already. So
yeah, it's fun. I will say that I think it's starting to look a bit dated.
Yeah, but it is dated. It's 10 years old.
Yeah, but I mean that's usually, like, considering that Galaxy Trucker sells consistently well. The 10-year mark's usually when people give a game a new edition, isn't it?
It's actually just coming up to 10 years, so maybe...
Because that's when Pandemic got its new edition.
Maybe.
Actually, Pandemic got one even quicker than that. Because it originally released in 2008, and it got a new edition in 2012.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
So, get your finger out, Galaxy Trucker people.
Check Games Executive, I believe.
There we go.
Yeah. So that was my purchase of the weekend. But we also played another couple of games as well. Ominos, which was
You're right, we did.
A neat little dice game. Really interesting story behind this. I couldn't believe it, but the creator was telling us... I'm going to say this now. I hope he wasn't making this up, because this sounds really cool. His grandfather was an archaeologist and discovered dice, Egyptian dice, on an archaeological dig.
Yeah.
And this is what he's based the game on.
I think that's awesome.
I mean, if he's made it up, that's an amazing story to make up. I really hope it's true.
I think it is true.
Yeah. We're gonna go with it's true because it's awesome. So that's a neat little dice rolling game. What you're trying to do is you each take on it's 4 players. You each take on one of the symbols of the dice, and there's 2 like wild card symbols. Mm-hmm. And what you've got a little grid in front of you. You roll a dice, and then you move one of the existing dice 3 spaces and plonk the dice that you've just rolled somewhere else. Make 4 in a row. You score that many points and take the dice off the board. Really simple. You learn it in like a minute, and plays really quickly. But really fun, neat little game. We also spoke to Tristan
Hall.
Yes. Who has...
So he has 2 games that have just funded. Mm-hmm. Well, Gloom of Kilforth, I think, is on its 2nd printing. And
there's some stretch goals from the original Kickstarter that they're going to put into it as well.
And he's got 1066 Tears from Many Mothers.
Yes. Which he thought, like, when he was describing this to us, he kind of thought, like, it might not take off. It's a 2-player card game based around the Battle of Hastings, right? And each card, you've got unique units and actual historical figures and what their role in the battle is, and a little bit of information about what they did as well. But, like, really, it looked like a really fun, solid, head-to-head asymmetrical deck.
Do you know what he actually said of the 2 of them, that 1066 got more funding? Which I thought was quite interesting.
Yeah. And he's publishing a 3rd game.
Yep.
Not designed by himself, which just sounds awesome.
Lifeform?
Yes. And basically, it's 1 against many. You've
Yeah,
got...
it's, I think the popular term is an asymmetrical
Oh.
game. So a little bit similar to Letters from Whitechapel,
Yeah.
where you've got this one all-powerful character.
The aforementioned life form.
Yeah, against a squad of plebs.
On a spaceship.
Yeah.
Trying to escape.
Yeah.
I hesitate to compare it to a certain science fiction film.
Yeah.
But it's just like a certain science fiction film.
He said it's more alien than aliens. So you can't go toe to toe with this thing.
No, you've got to run. You got to run.
Yeah, which adds a huge amount of tension to the game.
And see, as Tristan was describing this, it just sounded awesome.
Yeah, so
really want to try that.
We're really excited for that one. I do really want to have a go at Gloom of Kilforth and 1066.
Yeah,
well. They both.
Gloom of Kilforth.
The artwork was stunning.
Yeah, absolutely.
And unique among card games in that all of the art was done by one artist.
One artist, all unique as well. There's no art repeated, and that is a serious undertaking as well. So kudos for all the effort that was put into that. Looks and as a result of having the one singular artist, very uniform look to it.
Yeah,
not in a bad way though. Everything looks consistent throughout the entire game.
Yeah, because it's one of the things like Barry made me a dwarf deck for Magic the Gathering.
Yeah,
a few years ago, which was a really cool gift.
Yeah,
thanks for that, Barry. I still love that deck. But because the art's been done by all different artists, although you've got the common theme of they're all dwarfs, some of the cards just look totally different. Like almost like if it weren't for the fact that they've got the borders and the dwarf names on them, they don't. Some of them don't look as though they even belong together.
Like they're not even the same game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's nice when you've got a game like Gloom of Kilforth that has that sort of unified art direction,
absolutely,
and aesthetic, and the game plays really quickly as well. It took Tristan like 5 minutes to. Not even that to take us through how the game works. So really keen to try that. My big question to him when I was... what was really cool as well, it's all card-based. So you pick a card for your race and a card for your class.
So that's actually a fair bit of customization.
Yeah, exactly. So the core game came with 8 of each. So that's a lot of different combinations. And as I was flicking through the races, I can't find a halfling race here. And he said, aha! That's the second edition. So we'll be picking up the second edition so I can be my halfling ranger. So
I will be a dwarf something.
Dwarf something.
Probably dwarf warrior.
Yeah. Berserker?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just go nuts.
That's it.
Yeah. So that was a really fun game as well, and keen to try both of his games and keeping a close eye on Kickstarter for Lifeform as well.
I do think we're going to have him on the show at some point in the near future.
We're going to try and get him on. So many people from AireCon that we're wanting to talk to. So
it's like a whole new world.
Yes. Watch this. See, I actually contemplated singing myself there and thought, no.
I jumped in.
Ben wouldn't like that. No, Ben wouldn't do that.
No, I set it up for you. And
I know.
You didn't, so I
didn't take the bait. I didn't take the bait.
In.
I'm sorry.
And I did. And I feel naked now.
Ben is clothed.
Yeah.
Full disclosure.
Yep.
So that is pretty much our summary of AireCon. I think for me, the funny thing with doing conventions now is like prior to them, as someone attending, I would just spend the whole time playing games. But now obviously that we have the podcast, I spend so much more time actually talking to one, the creators themselves, and two, like other podcasters, other YouTubers. I And I get so much more out of that experience. It's great to actually engage with other human beings properly.
Absolutely. And I think from what I can gather, I've not been to many tabletop conventions, but I think that there's quite an emphasis at AireCon upon like just getting games from the library.
Yeah, the open play element of it.
Just playing games with people, which is really cool. But like you say, we weren't there to do that.
No, we were there to try. I was like trying out the new games, right? And there were so many games that we didn't even touch. Like Richard from Medusa, he was there showing off magnificent flying machines, which we talked about in the Glasgow Games Fair episode.
I think he was demoing Great Fire London as well.
Yes, I saw that as well. So we had a brief chat with him as well, and so great to see him again. And just there's so many stalls. I never got a chance to play City of Kings, as we were discussing earlier in the episode. So hopefully we get a chance to play that soon. Ben was absolutely loving it. Do you know what sold me on that game even before trying it? One of the characters is a penguin with an ice sword and shield.
He's actually one of the adversaries.
Is he an enemy?
Yeah.
I don't know if I could fight something that adorable.
I'm sure he's an adversary. I'll need to check now.
If he's a playable character, I'm playing as him.
Maybe Frank needs to get on that in a future expansion. We want Penguin Knights.
We want Penguin Ice Knights.
Yeah.
Of the North Pole. Penguin Ice Knights of the North Pole.
So would the order be Knights of the North Pole?
Yes. New Age of Sigmar faction. Knights of the North Pole. Penguins. Penguin cavalry on polar bears.
Oh man.
Ice lancers.
So like, do you know you could have them where if they go in the water, they have narwhal cavalry. They're
right.
The unicorn of the sea.
They're big monster.
Yeah.
They've harnessed a killer whale.
That's amazing.
They have, it's like the big chief penguin knight, and he's riding atop this huge killer whale.
Yeah, his little yellow plumage bits that they actually like cascade down.
And he's wearing an ice crown.
Yeah.
God, we need to make this happen. And on that note, guys, thank you for listening, and we will catch you next time.
Bye-bye. We are Unlucky Frog Gaming, and I am Ben. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Just search for Unlucky Frog Gaming. You can also show your support by giving us money through the Unlucky Frog Patreon. And be sure to check out our website, unluckyfrog.com, to find out more.